Hello, everyone, and welcome back to GodSaw's Turnbuckle. And it is time once again for some more predictions here on the channel. And this time we will be doing predictions for AEW's All In 2025. As of right now, I believe there are 8 matches official as of the time of the recording. I'm doing this a little bit earlier on Thursday, so maybe a ninth match will be included in there. From what I heard, there's a rumored trios title match with the Ops going up against the Death Riders. So that is a good potential and may get added in there. I feel like if that is the case, I do feel like the Ops would actually pick up the victory on that one, keeping the Trios titles. I'm not 100% certain on how that would go, but I feel like it would be the Ops picking up the victory on that. But first off, in matches that I definitely know that will be going on, we will be starting off with the Women's Casino Gauntlet match. As of right now, we have, I know there's at least 2 people in there, probably going to be a few more people that you saw in the 2 Fatal 4 Ways and other people around, such as Julia Hart, Willow Nightingale. But number 1 and 2 right now are Chris Statlander and Megan Bain. And, I imagine Thekla would be in there. Maybe Mina Shirakawa would be in there. And I do expect there to maybe be some other returns to go along with that, or maybe even debuts. That is a good possibility. This is the style match that they would want to have people debuting in, which could be maybe a debuting Dakota Kai if she is able to show up after the release. That is a possibility. We'll find out how that ends up going. Now, oddly enough, or I won't say oddly enough, but with this one, it is going to be for a future women's world title shot down the line. Now, in terms of an actual winner for this, I'm going to go with Willow Nightingale on this one, and you'll probably figure out a little bit more the reason why I'm going with Willow Nightingale in this particular match. With the later match with Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné, but yeah, I'm going to go with Willow Nightingale for this one. And up next, we have the men's Casino Gauntlet match. As of right now, we have number 1 being Mark Briscoe and number 2 being MJF. They did announce Mystico for the match itself as well, and I believe they've definitely had said that Ricochet was going to be in the match as well. So we know of at least 4 people in there. Obviously, you would probably expect maybe some people from those 2 Fatal 4 Ways to be in there to go along with that. It could be a very interesting dynamic of where they decide to go with everything with this match. Again, much like with the Women's Casino Gauntlet, maybe a potential debut, maybe potential returns to go along with it. But I do have a good feeling about the Hurt Syndicate on this particular show. So I'm actually going to be going with MJF to pick up the victory on this and continue on to get a future world title shot. And up next, we have the TNT title match. It will be Adam Cole going up against Kyle Fletcher. I mean, at this point in time, we all know Kyle Fletcher's really good. Adam Cole's still really good in the ring. He hasn't really done too much in terms of his character dynamic since returning and actually gaining the TNT title as well. Hasn't done too much with that. I know a lot of this has been rolling on Collision, so whether or not you're watching Collision on a weekly basis, it really plays into particular things. But I'm feeling at this point in time, I cannot see them not having gold on Kyle Fletcher for too much longer. So there's obviously a possibility that they have Adam Cole pick up the victory on this one, but I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher. I expect a new TNT champion for this one. So I'm going to go with Kyle Fletcher for this. And up next, it's going to be for the AEW Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Hurt Syndicate going up against the Patriarchy, going up against Jet Speed. Now, honestly, when going into this particular match, a lot of this has been focused around Jet Speed and the Hurt Syndicate with everything. but mainly with the Hurt Syndicate being won over on jet speed the entire time. They added the patriarchy into this through Collision to go along with everything. And honestly, with that being the case, I was actually completely gonna go for the patriarchy to win this, and there is still a good possibility that that does happen. But with how everything went down on Wednesday, where they basically had, had the patriarchy and jet speed actually get one over on the Hurt Syndicate and actually beat them down to go along with everything and putting them at the disadvantage going into the match. I'm actually going to go with the Hurt Syndicate for this one. I do feel like they're going to be keeping those tag team titles, and as I may mention before, I feel like it's going to be a good night for the Hurt Syndicate, so I'm going to go with them. And up next, they are going to be unifying the Continental Championship and the International Championship. It's going to be Okada versus Kenny Omega, and it's basically the fifth match of, if you've seen any of their matches from the New Japan times, any of those four matches, you know that they are, basically classics at this point in time. Now, that was a good chunk of time ago, and both of these guys are a bit older than where they were at that point in time. So I'm not necessarily certain that we're going to get that exact level again. I feel like we're going to get a very high level match here because it's both of them, but I can't expect it to be exactly on par with basically those matches that they put together in New Japan in that series of four. One where Okada won, and then you had the draw, the 60-minute time limit draw. You had Kenny winning in the G1. And then, of course, the 2 out of 3 falls match where Kenny actually wins the world title. So it's going to be a really good match, the play off of everything. And now they have been, of course, playing off of everything with Kenny having, of course, the injured area. They're playing off of, his illness that he had with diverticulitis. I probably mispronounced that on that, which is, I guess, fair enough. I'm not good at pronouncing words to its own degree, but I expect this to just be a really good match. Now, in terms of everything for this, you may see maybe a little bit of a theme going on for this one, but I'm actually going to go with Okada to pick up the victory on this one and become the first unified champion. But like I said, I feel like this is just going to be one of those matches where it has that potential of being match of the night, if not match of the year. We'll see how it plays out. So we'll see with that one. But I'm going to go with Okada to pick up the victory. And up next, it's going to be a tag team match. It's going to be the Young Bucks going up against Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. If the Young Bucks lose this match, they will no longer be EVPs. If Swerve and Ospreay lose, they can no longer actually, challenge for the world title for 1 calendar year. It's an interesting dynamic, and it does play off of the aspect that both sides needed to give up something to get this particular match to happen. Now it's going to be an interesting thing if they're going to actually go with this whole aspect of that Will and Swerve are not going to be in the world title picture for an entire year, because I feel like a lot of people do want to see them in that title picture, especially Will Ospreay, and also actually just both of them in general. Let's just be real. But a lot of people are expecting Will Ospreay to probably have a world title match going into the Forbidden Door time, and then of course probably Swerve to have another world title shot somewhere down the road as well, probably within the next year. So you kind of expect that to be the case. Now I'm just looking at this as a whole, and I feel like the Young Bucks actually win here. I feel like they're gonna go that route where they don't challenge for a year. Now, the question will be whether or not any of them help out Hangman after the fact for the main event. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm actually going to go with the Young Bucks on this one, because I do feel like they would be, it would be an interesting dynamic of keeping the Young Bucks like with the EVP title, everything to go along with that on TV, them trying to play off of, making power plays, everything to go along with that. I feel like that's kind of the best aspect for those characters at this point, because I don't necessarily know where they would go as characters if they end up losing that. Because it's not like they're just going to go straight back to being baby faces again or anything. So yeah, I just feel like the dynamic has the Young Bucks winning. So I'm going to go with the Young Bucks on this one. And up next is going to be for the AEW Women's Championship is going to be Timeless Toni Storm going up against Mercedes Moné. And of course, this is going to be one of those things where you have Mercedes Moné, who has all these different titles. She has the TBS title, the CMLL championship, the Rev Pro title, and was also the winner of the Owen Hart Cup. So she's carrying around that particular championship as well. So you have her with all these different belts, and of course she's going up against Toni Storm, who has just the AEW Women's World title. Now they aren't putting any other titles on the line on this one. It's just the AEW Women's Championship for this. Now, just based upon everything here, and I do feel like some people in the online area will probably think of this as maybe a bad thing, but based upon how I decided to have the winner of the Casino Gauntlet match being Will Nightingale, I feel like they're going to go full circle with this one, and it's going to eventually be Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship. And I don't know necessarily where they go from there on that. I feel like it kind of becomes full circle from Double or Nothing in 2024. And then maybe Willow gets the victory with that one. But that's for down the line. So yes, I am going to go with Mercedes Moné to pick up the victory here and take the title off of Timeless Toni Storm. And up next is going to be the main event of the evening. It is going to be Jon Moxley going up against Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. Now, they have set this one up, much like they set up everything for WrestleMania 40, or any type of match that has a setup where you're expecting a lot of people to kind of interfere. I mean, it's something that Death Riders have been doing anyway, but I feel like you're going to see this a little bit more on the babyface side, where you're going to have people coming out to help out Hangman Adam Page. It's good, like I said, it has that vibe of them doing their own version of WrestleMania 40 with Roman and Cody for those ones, where you're going to have a lot of different run-ins. They've set the match up being Texas Death Match, everything to go along with that. And yeah, it's primed and ready to be one of those, giant, cluster of a match. So it's going to be a very entertaining match in that sense. And also see who is going to actually be helping out who through this one. Does Swerve come out? Does Will come out there? Do you get some people returning to help out Hangman Adam Page against the Death Riders? There's a lot of different things that they could be playing off of this one. Now, I did go with the Young Bucks picking up the victory earlier, which would make Will and Swerve not have a title match for a year. Now, because I'm doing that, and I feel like I'd be doing this anyways, even if they have Swerve and Will end up picking up the victory, I feel like I would still be making this prediction. I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page to pick up the victory in this one and actually pick up the AEW World Championship. It does feel like it's come like a full circle to the point that the Moxley reign should probably come to an end. We probably should get the viewing of the championship belt, everything in that sense, because it's been basically in a briefcase for the last 9 months for everything. So I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page to pick up the victory on this one and pick up that AEW World title. That is everything I've got here for you guys. I do feel like it's going to be a relatively good show. What am I saying relatively for? I feel like it's going to be a really good show in general, and should be something a lot of fun to watch. But if you happen to have your own predictions, feel free to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe if you so wish as well. And with that being said, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy. and have a great rest of your day.